Hello and welcome to this video in which we are going to see how Laravel component works. I have installed Laravel as well as Breeze, and this is the play template file, and this is the dashboard page. Alright, let's see how we can create our component. In order to create a component, you need to go to resources, views, and components directory. Here you can create a component. So I'm going to create a new file and I'm going to call our component as card. So I'll create a file card.play.php, and within this file I can write the HTML which would be returned by this component. So I'm just going to return some HTML, and in order to use this component I'm going to go into my plate file and I will write x and hyphen. So every component should be prefixed with x hyphen and then the name of the component, which is card. Once we do that, Laravel is automatically going to look into the components directory and it would return the HTML which is written in the component. So this is the HTML which is returned by this component. Xcard is basically an HTML tag now, and we can have multiple of these tags in our plate, and Laravel is going to return the HTML which is written in the component like this. The benefit of using this component is that if I need to apply some CSS classes, I only need to do so in this components file. So let's apply a couple of classes over here. And now if I save and reload the browser, these classes are applied to all the tags. So the components helps us to keep our HTML dry and compact. At this stage, our components are not very useful. They are just returning a static value. So let's change it to return a dynamic value. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this card text and I'm going to introduce a variable called as slot. This slot would be passed, it, it would have the same value which is passed in between the tags. So I'm going to pass the value as card1 for this, and card2 and card3. And now if I reload it, we see that same value is being displayed. So whatever we passed in between the tags was used as a slot variable. Now let's change our card to have a header and a body. So what I'll do is that I'll change this. Now if we reload our browser, we see that we have these three cards. Each of the card has a header as well as a body. This is the header, this is the body. The header is static, whereas the body is passed using the slot. I also want to make the header as customizable, so I'm going to replace it with the header tag. And now let's remove one of the card and have a peer tag over here. Now let us change our component so that we are able to pass the header. So In order to pass the header, I'm going to write x slot and then name is equal to header. And then I can pass the value of the header, which I'm going to use as header1. So this is the name of the slot, and this would be treated as the default slot since we have not specified as any slot name for it. So this default slot is the one which is defined over here, and this header tag should match this slot name which is written over here. Same way provide the we will change the second component to have the header. Here we go. And now if we reload our browser, we see that it is still working fine, and now our component successfully supports multiple slots. Now let's say I want to change the width of the card. I want it to have only half of the width. So one way would be to have a class over here, w-1 by 2. And now if I reload it, uh, our card has been switched to half, but it is applied to both the cards. That is not what we want. We only want to apply it to the first card. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to give that same class w-1 by 2 over here. And now what I want to do is I want to merge the class which is passed from the component over here. So we can do that using $attributes merge function, and here I'm going to merge all the classes. So I'm going to keep all the same classes which were already there, and now let's try it. If we reload, there we go. The first card has half the width and the second card has full width. So this is how attributes merge work. Anything that we passed from the component will be merged over here, and all these classes will be preserved. Let's say we want to pass another variable which we are calling as footer, and this would be footer text, and we want to display this footer text over here. I want to display this footer. However, we are passing the footer as an attribute and not like a slot. So what we can do is we can have a props over here, and now if we reload, and now we have this footer text being displayed. We can even have a default value of for this, and then we can remove it from here and change to this way. We have this footer which is passed as a text. Defining it as a props means that this footer would no longer get merged into this attributes, and we can even pass a default value. The Laravel components can be nested, which means you can pass another component inside another component. So let's pass another component as a slot. So this is the button component which comes pre-installed with Breeze. So I'm going to call it over here. And now if we reload, we see that the nested components are still working fine. And this is how exactly the X app layout works. If we open this layout, we see that it has all these heads, and within the body we have this header and the slot. And if we check, that is all we are passing. This is the header and everything else is the slot. So this header gets passed over here and the rest is the default slot. So I hope you have enjoyed this small video related to the Laravel components. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Thank you for watching.